Hello viewers, Tomo here. Today's video I'm going to show you some simple modifications you can do to a pair of cheap 1980s component system speakers like the ones you see behind me that will result in clearer detail, tighter bass, overall much better sound quality for as little as $20. 1980s component systems consisted of a receiver, turntable, cassette deck, cabinet, and a pair of speakers. They typically focused more on appearance than they did on sound quality. Despite this, these speakers have somewhat of a cult following, either due to sentimental value or because some people actually like the sound of them. Our test subject for this video will be the Technics SB-2845, though these modifications will apply to any three-way component system speaker out there. Our modifications will consist of adding acoustic damping to the inside of the cabinet and installing an upgraded crossover network that was purchased online. I took some notes to use as a baseline during my initial listening tests. I found the speakers to be rather lifeless with a lack of detail or blurry sound. No sound stage to speak of. They have a very unnatural hollow box sound to them. And there's also, I'm picking up a mid-range distortion that could possibly be a failing mid-range driver. These are the areas we will be looking to improve with this upgrade. Now unfortunately, the stock tweeters were blown out, so I went onto AliExpress and I spent $10 for a pair of replacement tweeters, different type. These are a Mylar tweeter, but in order to have a fair and accurate comparison, all tests, whether it's the frequency response or the sound clips, etc., for before and after will be with these tweeters installed. Okay, now I'm going to do a baseline frequency response on the stock speaker. That way I have something to measure it against after all the modifications are done. Okay, and we will go with 1/3 smoothing. We'll fit to data. And that is our measured frequency response of this speaker. Okay, let's have a look at what they consider a crossover for this speaker. You'll notice there's two capacitors. There's a single inductor. Down in there, that is actually tweeter protection. It's either a fuse or a little like a circuit breaker. Can't tell you much about that. The markings on the capacitors are cryptic. This should be 50 volts. I think it's 2.2 microfarads on that. You do a search on Google for that and you come up pretty dry. But how this circuit works is the tweeter has one capacitor. The mid-range has a bandpass filter with a capacitor and the inductor, and the woofer, it just passes straight on through. There's no filtration on the woofer. So basically the woofer receives the full signal, whether it's 20,000 hertz or 20 hertz. That 12-inch woofer is getting it all. As I had reviewed in a previous video, this is the crossover that I'll be using. This was like $15 for a pair of them, or maybe less on AliExpress. You can also pick these up on Amazon, eBay, they're everywhere. And I picked this basically because it's cheap and it's a three-way crossover. Everything here, you see a lot of components, but it's all first order. So the woofer is getting an inductor, the mid-range gets an inductor and a capacitor as a bandpass, and then the tweeters just get capacitors. Okay, now let's talk about damping material for inside the cabinet. Purpose of the damping material is to absorb the stray sound frequencies that are being emitted by the rear of your speaker cones, and if you don't have any damping material in there, they will bounce around on the side walls inside the cabinet. They will radiate out the sides of the cabinet. They will bounce off the back and then reflect back out the front of your woofer cone, etc. And basically they just kind of ruin the sound of the speaker. Now if you watch this video during the first 48 hours after I posted it, you'll notice that the video was a little different at the time. That's because my original design, I just grabbed some fiberglass insulation out of my attic and put it into the cabinet. And fiberglass insulation is a wonderful damping material inside a speaker cabinet, except for somebody pointed out one flaw, and that is over time the speaker will start ejecting glass fibers through the port of the speaker, and that is not good. So fiberglass insulation is out as a damping material. Do not use it. Another reason not to use it is that many speaker drivers, like this Eminence guitar speaker, have a vent in the back of the motor assembly for voice coil cooling, and what will happen is over time that will be sucking glass fibers into the motor drive, and it'll get caught around the voice coil, etc., and ruin the speaker. So no fiberglass inside the speaker cabinet. Don't use it. So what's our alternative? Polyfill is the most common you'll come across. You can buy it fairly reasonable at Walmart. That's where I got this. I'd use that for another project. But if you have old pillows laying around the house and they have polyfill in them, you can cut them open, use that polyfill, and it doesn't cost you anything. Like I'd mentioned, we're trying to do this upgrade on the cheap as much as possible. Your bedding pillows, they should be replaced every 1 to 2 years. Not going to say how old my pillows are. Another option, which is less likely to be around the house, is open cell foam, like this egg crate foam material. This is awesome. You can spray the back of it with contact cement and do the same inside the cabinet and stick it inside. It will also dampen vibrations on the sides of the cabinet walls also, which is very desirable. But you're less likely to have that sitting around the house. But I will put links to some Amazon products that are fairly reasonable price as far as open cell foam acoustic panels, and you would have that option also. Okay, now how much polyfill to use? As a general rule, it's 1/2 pound to 1 pound of polyfill per cubic foot of internal volume for the speaker cabinet. I will have a link to an online calculator below for you to use so you can calculate exactly how much you'll need, and I would lean towards the 1/2 pound to just above. You don't want to over damp the cabinet. As far as the open cell foam goes, I would attach it to all sides of the cabinet. If you want to, you could skip the front, but the sides and the back and the top, I would definitely line with the open cell foam. All right, I typed the values of the stock crossover into the crossover simulator just to give you a visual diagram. The tweeter gets a 1.8 microfarad capacitor. Mid-range gets 2.2 microfarad capacitor and a 0.63 millihenry capacitor for a bandpass filter. And the woofer gets no filtration whatsoever. It just gets the full frequency signal from the amplifier. And this is a comparison to the new crossover. It looks like there's a whole lot more components to it, but it's actually not dramatically different. There's a low value resistor in the tweeter circuit, two 1 microfarad capacitors, so that's actually counts that as 2 microfarad capacitor. It's the same thing. The mid-range, once again, is another bandpass. It's 7.9 microfarad capacitor plus a 0.38 millihenry inductor. And then this is the biggest difference, is there is a 0.38 millihenry inductor for the woofer, so it's filtering out the high frequencies, allowing the woofer to be more efficient. And now here are the measurements for the frequency response that I did on the speaker. This first one is the frequency response of the original everything speaker, with the exception of the tweeter. Since that was burned out, I had to replace that. But it's the original crossover and no damping material added. The second one here is with the new crossover and the damping material added. And the third one is new crossover, damping material added, but this time I reversed the polarity of the mid-range speaker. I'm not going to get into that in depth. It's used to correct some phasing issues that you encounter, and actually the speaker originally, with the original crossover, was wired with reverse polarity on the mid-range speaker as it was. But you could do a Google search on polarity, phase, speaker crossover and learn more about it that way. But let's compare all of these crossover frequency responses together. You'll notice that the original one kind of trails down. And but let's remove the original speaker and compare these two, and then I'll decide from here which one, which configuration I'm going to go with. And not sure if there is actually an audible difference between the two, but you do notice that the reverse polarity configuration gets a little bit of a boost here in the 1,000 to 3,000 hertz range, and maybe more important is that without reversing the polarity of the mid-range speaker, there's about 5-6 decibel spike at 6,000 hertz. I mean, this peak here is bad enough as it is, but this can be causing some ear fatigue, so I'd rather have this peak, if we're going to have it, that it be as low as possible. So let's take away that one. So this configuration is the fiberglass damping in the speaker, new crossover, and the mid-range driver is reverse polarity. And overall, I think this is a very respectable frequency response, considering what we're working with and how little we spent to improve this speaker. So now our next step will be some audio clips for you to listen to, comparing the stock original speaker with with the speaker with the new crossover, with the damping material and a reverse polarity mid-range. And you can hopefully hear for yourself the difference. And then after that, I will give you my personal opinion from listening in person, what I think, and my final conclusions. And here's our selection of test clips for before and after comparison. We have Jury Murad's Harmonicats, a clip from whatever the hell this is, and last but not least, an old favorite of mine from the 1980s, a group called Fun with Animals, the song The Test of Love and Sex. Alright, this is what I'll be recording my clips with. It's the best I got, which isn't saying much. Hopefully you will be able to hear the difference between the clips. This is just a fairly generic camera microphone. Also, these recordings will be in mono, simply because my laptop, I'm using Audacity, but I cannot get it to record in stereo through the microphone input. And I think it's just the way the laptop is made, nothing I can do. But hopefully the quality of the recordings will be good enough for you to hear the difference.
Canale Grande #1, da fing das Abenteuer an. Canale Grande #1, da fing das Abenteuer an. Oh pardon, sind Sie der Graf von Luxemburg? Oh pardon, sind Sie der große Mann von Welt? Oh pardon, sind Sie der Graf von Luxemburg? Oh pardon, sind Sie der große Mann von Welt?
You say you don't know what to feel. You say you don't know what is real. You say you don't know what to feel. You say you don't know what is real.
Okay, now for my personal review of the upgrade after doing some extensive listening tests with them. First thing I noticed is that the sound of the speakers are dramatically louder after the upgrade. So much so that I had to lower the volume to record the after clips that you just listened to because they were actually overdriving Audacity. Okay, now going down the list that I made before the upgrade, the speakers were not very lively. They're much more lively now, definitely. Much greater detail and clarity. The sound stage has improved. It's not a great sound stage. A lot of that can do with the room, and there's only so much you can expect from these speakers. The mid-range distortion that I was hearing is gone. So the mid-range driver is not failing. What I attribute it to is, since there was no filtration on the woofer, is my suspicion anyway, is that that woofer was distorting as it was trying to produce the higher frequencies that were getting sent to it. So that's all gone. The hollow box sound that I complained about before, probably because of the damping, that is gone. The bass is now a whole lot tighter, a whole lot more clarity to it. In fact, even listening to like Rush's Tom Sawyer, I was surprised to hear the speakers have a little bit of punch to them. So is this upgrade worth doing? Absolutely. The combination of the crossover with the higher quality components bringing you clearer sound and more detail, along with the additional damping, which cleaned up the bass, tightened up the bass, just really brought these speakers to life. And you can do it for a little more than the cost of a trip to McDonald's. Well, that's it for this video. I'm currently working on another speaker modification video, as well as some other product review videos and helpful hints. So if you like my videos, please like, share, and of course subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.